I serve Hoovers. I take my position next to the door. I wait between courses, standing at attention, staring straight ahead. I can show no interest in the conversation. Smiling at a joke or remark will mean this is the last time I go into the dining room. I wait. Try not to move. Try not to draw attention to myself. The Hoovers eat their meal. I'm standing by the door, going over my music in my head, silently reviewing my French and Italian and German. My plan is to work here through the winter. That winter lasted 21 years and 3 months. In the Hoover administration, the sounding of 3 bells would send the help hurrying and scurrying for a place to hide. On the second floor, which is the living quarters, there was a closet that we used for cleaning equipment. If either the president or the first lady came out of their rooms, it was like a cat surprising the mice. All the maids and butlers practically running each other down, trying to be the first one in that closet. Eventually, a head would peek out to see if the coast was clear. I still wonder how so many people could pile into that closet. And no doubt about it being completely full after I got in. In the election of 1932, the Democrats promised a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage. While the Republicans warned that if the Democrats won, the weeds would grow up in the middle of the streets. The poll showed President Hoover leading Franklin Roosevelt, but quietly I disagreed. On my vacation that year, I returned home by bus, and I saw more idle factories and soup lines. I heard people viciously blame the president. 4 years earlier, these same people were making a crusade of electing Hoover because Al Smith was a Catholic. And if he were elected, the Pope would take over the country. Now we're in the middle of another election, and this time it wasn't religion that was being whispered about. It was Roosevelt's physical capabilities. During my next 20 years in the White House, I found out that this is politics. Fact. Whispers. Innuendo. For all of our talk of equality, there's a constant Cold War being waged between the religions and races. This thing we call civilization is a very, very slight veneer that can easily be scratched. March 4th, 1933, my first inauguration. Luncheon, tea, and dinner. No one has a plan of what to do, and the butlers are without a head man. We do have a menu from Mrs. Roosevelt, but she doesn't want formal tables set up. She wants a buffet table. It's a sick-looking table. Chicken salad, bread, butter sandwiches, coffee, tea, and milk. The president comes into the room, and Connie begins to serve the president his bouillon. I go to serve Mrs. Roosevelt, but she merely rushes by to the buffet table and starts to pour coffee. I stand here holding her bouillon. The help doesn't know what to do. First lady serving the guest? She's really in our way. People are grabbing whatever they want, and no one waits for the president or the first lady. Connie says, I don't understand these people. They eat ice cream with their bouillon. That was the luncheon. The dinner, as decided by Mrs. Roosevelt, is oyster stew, scrambled eggs, sausage, fried potatoes, creamed chicken, buttered rolls, and jam. And she wants the table set up in a horseshoe shape. Connie says, I don't know how to serve such-shaped dinner in a horseshoe table. The staff is afraid to talk to the First Lady about it, so finally I go up and I say, pardon me, madam, the dinner. After the oyster stew, do you want all the rest of the food served on one plate? Well, she throws her head back in that high-pitched voice and laughs. Why not? What's the difference? Well, I tell the rest of the staff, This is not a formal dinner. It's just a New England countryman supper, so don't use the gold service, use the silver. After the oyster stew, be prepared to serve the rest of the food on one plate. Be prepared to serve the tea and coffee at any time anyone asks for it. These people are going to throw old man protocol right out the window. Well, that night we didn't perform with our usual dignity and poise. We were rushing to get foods to the table. Guests left whenever they wanted. And Mrs. Roosevelt would say, "Oh, Franklin, Mrs. Thompson." She owned dining. "Mrs. Thompson has to go." And the president would simply smile and say, "It was good of you to come." Many people left with just a wave, or many left without a word. And to think, 24 hours earlier, no one would have ever thought of leaving the table before the president. Oh, for the good old days. He played. He played. And I sang. Of course, the President and the First Lady were absent. But I had my day. That afternoon was the most thrilling of all my years in the White House. 21 years.